I'm giving you a short introduction to the Talmud, and the resulting will be relating to tradition, the Jewish tradition, which is based, of course, on the Talmud. The current Jewish situation is based on the Talmud. What is the Talmud? Talmud is a general name which covers the Babylonian Talmud, the so-called Jerusalem Talmud, which actually was more in Tiberias than in Jerusalem. This is preceded by the Mishnah and Medrashei Halacha, Medrash, Halachic Medrash, Agadic Medrash, and Tosefta. These are the main books of which are included in the general term Talmud. Now, we relate to a verse which tells us that things that are oral should be kept oral, and traditions that are in writing should be kept in writing. And our Rabbi Judah the Prince, wrote down the Mishnah. What is exactly the Mishnah? It's a compendium of opinions about the various mitzvot. It includes also the ethics of the fathers and general behavior in Masechet Derech Eretz, but the great body of this material is halachic material, which tells what the law is in this situation and in that situation. Actually, in the main, without going into principles, it is called a casuistic compendium. It tells you more about cases than about principles, although in the Mishnah there are so-called rules. It says klal. In general, it gives general rules, rarely. Maybe 15, maybe 20 rules in the whole Mishnah. And then we have the Gemara, which is sometimes that alone is called the Talmud Yerushalmi, the Bavli. These are basically teachings on a basis of particular tractates of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is divided into tractates. Groups of tractates are dealing with specific subjects. You have women's issues. You have the holiday issues, which include Sabbath. You have agricultural issues. You have questions of Tumah and Tahara, which are sometimes translated ritual uncleanliness or ritual defilement. And you have torts. I think we mentioned them. Zman, Nakat, Zira'im is agriculture, Moed is the holidays, and Nashim, Nezikin, we mentioned. Zman, Nakat. Yes, we mentioned all of them. Okay. So, in effect, if you look with an open mind and you don't learn the trees and you can see the forest, and you will see that a great majority of the Talmud, of the Babylonian Talmud, is discussions which may have originated as teachings in the colleges of Babylon or in the academia in Tiberias for the Jerusalem Talmud. And these two Talmuds are quite different. In the Babylonian Talmud, usually a discussion will end up with the decision that this is the accepted opinion at the end. And the Jerusalem Talmud, you wouldn't find that so much, not at all. Nearly very little. Now, what is the purpose of the Babylonian Talmud? The purpose of the Babylonian Talmud is to review our traditions, oral and what was put down, written and oral and what was put down and written by various people, get all of these together and try to get a unified tradition. Actually, that's what Rabbi Judah the Prince did when he wrote the Mishnah. He was trying to include and thus to exclude certain things that had been discussed and had been thought about over the years preceding him, and to weed out what he thought was extraneous and to leave us with the minimum, with what we really had to know. And this was supposed to be the tradition which would continue from his time. And this continued for 3 or 4 generations after him, and then in the Babylonian Talmud, the Amoraim, the people active there, began bringing in to the discourse the traditions which Rabbi Judah the Prince left out. So what they're trying to do then is to unify, to manage to get them all the traditions to work together. In the Jerusalem Talmud, they don't do that. In the Jerusalem Talmud, they have discussions which usually end up, say, if I remember in the debating club, you had each side presented his theory, his ideas, and then there was a rebuttal and another rebuttal, and then that was the end of maybe there was another round, but that was about the end of it. In the Babylonian Talmud, it can go on for page after page. In the Jerusalem Talmud, it doesn't go on. I mean, each side says its case, and maybe there's 1 or 2 questions back and forth, and that's where it stays. And there's no attempt to reconcile. There is no attempt to reach an agreed or a unified opinion. What does it say about our tradition? First of all, it says that our tradition is, we have decided upon which are the better traditions to follow. In effect, what we have decided on is not which is the better tradition, but what is the best to follow. In other words, what we're deciding in the Babylonian Talmud, we're deciding which way we want to lead the Jewish people. We say we want to be pretty sure that the Jewish people behave in a more or less unified way, because we want coherence, we want people to adhere to one another, so we want coherence in the tradition. And we have decided by a series of rules which were enunciated by Rabbi Yochanan in Tiberias, but he didn't use the rules, but he taught them for others, that they should use these rules when they decide cases which they can't decide on the basis of the merits. So we have rules for making decisions when we cannot decide on the basis of the merits, and a lot of our Jewish traditions, what we do, what the halakha is based on these rules. We say we can't really decide which is the better opinion, so we have a way to determine what we do. Where does this take us now with respect to Noahides? I think it puts in grave doubt taking any book learning that we Jews have done for ourselves and trying to apply it to Noahides. What we have to do as rabbis, when we work with Noahides and try to see how to help Noahides in their worship of God, and they're trying to do what God wills for them, we will have to think things through from the beginning. And this, of course, puts a great onus upon us of trying to forget what we already know so well. We know very well what our traditions are, and we have to review them critically, and thus to be able to get at what we need, what the Noahides need, whether they're Noahides in the States or Europe or mid-Africa. Each one and each type of people and each group of people need their particular solution. Thank you.